Welcome back to another episode of Full Beans. My name is Ozzy. This is David. Make sure you like, subscribe,
turn on
comment
that bell
video,
notification.
all that good stuff. Obviously, you can see we're in a different place. We're not at the studio. We are in the sunny mountains of California up here. We're taking a scenic drive. There's no race weekend this week, so we might as well take a cruise and
enjoy the views.
Enjoy the views and
enjoy the nice fresh air.
Good old-fashioned drive around the mountains. With that being said, today we're going to talk about the past, the present, and the future of Indy. Our thoughts of this season so far in Indycar. It's been a good one. Obviously, there are areas that can be improved. What's happened currently. So with that, we talk about the season so far. David, we've had an exciting season so far.
Exciting season.
Multiple winners. We've had.
It's always in Indy. Multiple winners. Always good to see.
Drama, scandal, cheating off from the bat from the very first race.
I forgot about the cheating.
Yeah. We've had bounces back. We've had first evers of race wins. Let's start off with the beginning, the big one, with the cheating scandal.
The cheating scandal from the first race.
From the very first race. Penske were caught. I don't know if it was cheating. If it was intentional, it wasn't intentional. They've held themselves accountability where they've had an issue with the push to pass, using it illegally.
Yeah, had access to it.
Had access to it, correct. And it was during that time where we had kind of an exhibition race at Thermal where you were allowed to use that, right?
Yeah.
So now thoughts on that ever since that happened, they've obviously bounced back from that.
They've bounced back, and people keep pointing fingers saying that bounce back was unwarranted
and a little too bouncy.
Too bouncy. A little too to the moon, too fast.
Yeah. I mean, they did. I think they handled it well. Where as far as they suspended a few people who were working on that push to pass, and they held themselves accountable, which is, I think, respectable to say. And whether that bounce back was a little suspicious or not, they did it. You know, they were able to put it together, and
they haven't got caught again since.
No, they haven't. I'm pretty sure the first time you get caught doing something you weren't supposed to, there's eagle eyes looking at you.
They keep an eye on you.
Yeah, close eye on you.
They're looking at you.
Yeah, what do you think of the season so far as Indy? That was obviously the big one.
I think the season so far has been really good.
It is kind of what we've said, right?
We always say it's very competitive, very diverse. I like that Palou at the end of last year kind of ran away with it. At the beginning of this year, we're not necessarily seeing that.
No.
He is leading the championship, but it's not as easy as he's made it look in the past.
Yeah. It's not as black as white it was last season, right? You can obviously put money on it last season at this point that he was going to win the championship.
Yeah, and as we said, it's still looking like he should repeat if he continues with his form. I think the most impressive thing about Palou and what he does, and we've mentioned before in the past, is that he does not finish outside the top 10, top 12, whatever it is, that other racers will tend to dip down below from time to time during some races that maybe not the race. I think his biggest thing, because he's only won 2 races?
I think so, yeah.
A couple at this time?
I think only 2.
But the thing is, we have Pato, who has technically won 2 races as well, and he's not obviously leading the championship. So I think it's his ability to stay, in the top 10, top 12, top 15, whatever it is, that he doesn't fall below. We saw him crash out at one of the Iowa races.
Very unexpectedly.
Uncharacteristic of him.
Unpolite.
But he still stays atop.
It's like life. You have to be consistent. If you're consistent, you'll be able to do great things.
If you can consistently get a C, you'll come out at top eventually.
Yeah, better than one of those. If you get an A in this class but an F in this one, might not make it at the end of the road, Yeah. But if you're a C every single time, you guarantee yourself to finish the race.
It's the tortoise, slow and steady.
Slow and steady, exactly.
Continually steady, and then it doesn't hurt when you're slow and steady. All of a sudden, boom, you get that A.
That's true.
Right, that's him winning a race, popping in that A. He gets in the A grade,
I honestly think that's a well analogy to say Pelot's season. He's been a C student, and he's gotten a few A's, and those few A's have really propelled them up to the front.
Yeah.
And now he's looking like the championship. He's looking like he's gonna maybe take away.
I mean,
take
let's,
that championship.
more like probably like a B average. He's pretty good.
B?
He's pretty good.
Okay.
I think he's pretty. He's B average.
Yeah,
B
you're
average.
right. I guess you're right.
He's
yeah.
pretty good. If we're not going into the nitty gritty of plus and minuses, I think a B is definitely more of his average. He's
That's
kind of
true.
been killing it on.
Let's give him a little bit more credit.
Yeah,
you know?
because look, if there's 30 racers in a race, and he's in the top 15, that's a top 50. I mean, he's definitely in the top 20%.
Yeah, for sure. Another, like you mentioned, Pato Award winning two races this season, which is good to see. We always want to see the Mexicans do good in all racing series. So I know the first win was a little on a technicality.
Technicality,
with the Penske,
yeah, he'll take it. Just nice to see him turn that around, though. As you said, he wants to win outright. We all want to win outright.
And definitely after we saw him almost taking that Indy 500
The heartbreak
win,
of
bro.
the Indy 500.
That one hurt so much when he was.
And to be completely transparent to the fans,
Yeah.
we're not the biggest fans of oval races, and to be honest, I haven't really paid attention to oval races too much in the past.
Yeah. Same
And I
here.
think Indy was giving me, the racing gods gave us a nice little, almost a tease, but a way to really be like, look, guys, we know you guys haven't really been into the ovals before, but look what it can be.
Yeah.
And then they showed us, and then they yanked it back. You can't have it all at the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have the cake and eat it too at the very first time of you. Because I'll be honest, the first time I watched the entire Indy 500.
Yeah.
I've seen
Pieces, right?
pieces before, dozed off before.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I sat down and said no. And from the beginning, to be fair, it's not because the race was going so, like, it was such a captivating race. I was actually like, no, you know what? For the show, for the fans, I got to sit down and watch the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And we got that race, one of the best 500s, not from my little technical
locking up.
little technical difficulty there.
Man.
It's because I haven't walked the track.
Yeah.
I haven't walked the track, so I don't know the track. What was he saying?
The Indy 500.
Indy 500. Not from us, but a lot of people calling it one of the best Indy 500s,
Yeah.
in recent history, and if not ever.
It was a showstopper. Well, not a showstopper. How do I say it? It had a grand finale towards the end, dude. A lot of drama towards the end. Like you said, we mentioned, the ovals have not always been our ones we look forward to, but this oval race was, one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Yeah,
You know?
Can't ask for more in an oval.
Yeah, but like you said, they yanked us. They couldn't give us our driver that we wanted to win, right? Pato taking that victory, and where he did everything right. Make sure you watch our old Indy 500 episode where we explain more on how he made the right moves at the right time, and it wasn't meant to be. But he takes a victory in later on in Mid-Ohio, and
Well-fought victory.
And with the Pelot right behind him, right? The
Current champion on his butt.
Yeah, right behind him. So
Talking about grading drivers and talking about Pato, is normally we see him kind of in that mix of what we're talking about, where he's up and down in the grades, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's maybe not an A from not being too many race wins, but a B student, close to it. You think he's gonna get that A, and then F next race, and then again, boom, another F from. It seems to be a lot of times his decision making, crashing where maybe he doesn't need to dive in and he makes contact with other racers.
Yeah, taking a little bit too much risk.
Taking too much of a gamble.
Yeah.
And this year it looks like he's decided, you know what? I got to be that C/B driver average and then pop up with those A's.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be making a lot more smarter decisions and not taking so many risks when not needing to.
Which is paying off now because he's a contender for the championship.
He's definitely a contender, so that's good to see.
We'll see if he's able to maybe take the reign on this championship and able to bring it home for the fellow Mexicans out there. And in all the racing series.
Moving on to the rest of the season,
What we expect, more oval races to come.
they'll have the heavy in the oval races in the last half of the season.
Yeah, so
We'll see if we can get some more nail biters.
I'm excited to see how the hybrid system is going to play in once teams feel more comfortable. They have more experience under their belt with this new system. A lot of drivers they've expressed how it's still new. They still need to figure out some things, how they need to change their driving style a little bit, you know. So that's an exciting thing to do. I think a good thing that Indy did to move forward and make their racing the racing series like better for the future.
Definitely better. Obviously, greener.
Greener, yeah.
Like F1 trying to move to carbon neutral.
Mhm.
It is nicer to see. I guess Indy trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And same improvements.
Another thing I hope for the Indycar moves forward on, and I've been talking about it, Connor Daly's been talking about it, and we are fan favorites here of Connor Daly about the podium
Full
in IndyCar.
Beans favorite. Full Beans favorite.
Yeah.
Connor Daly clearly listening to Full Beans without telling us.
We want you, Connor Daly.
Yes. Let's see if we can, like you were saying, get the podiums a little nicer.
Yeah, the podiums. Come on, make them a little more grander, dude. Because, like you mentioned on his,
they do need some.
they need some better.
Nice.
They need some better
improvements there.
Exactly. The trophies I think aren't too bad. I think the trophies are okay, but just more of a ceremony, you know.
Yeah.
To just like I said, maybe there's a kid out there that goes to an IndyCar race and he wants to become an IndyCar driver or a racing car driver, and when you see those drivers up in the podium, you look at that, and that's where you want to be on the top, right? You want to have that appreciation.
You want to be
from
up
your
there.
drive, from your
Additionally,
team.
like IndyCar, it doesn't have too many drivers from. I mean, they do. They have a lot of drivers from other
Around the world?
countries around the world.
Yeah.
And that's always something nice to see in F1, where you get to stand on the top of the step. They play your national anthem. You feel that pride.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice moment for you. So I think that also helps too when it's part of the podium, obviously, right? Like you're saying, it's part of the celebration, part of the treat it is to be on the podium.
Yeah, you get to show off, your pride of
Nationality.
Exactly, your nationality pride, your country's pride, right? Where you came from. So hopefully that we see that coming up in the future with Indy.
This is nice. Yes, continuing.
David's trying to find a way around here.
I am just cruising. It is a cruise.
It is.
It is a cruise.
But that's how it is.
That's
back
how
in the
it
day,
is.
people used to drive around.
Nice little Sunday cruise.
No one had a destination.
If you see me doing a U-turn, which I have not done, or a 20-point turn, just turn off the stream real quick. Listen to us only.
Another exciting thing I think to come for Indy is new drivers and new teams. One team, for example, Arrow McLaren decided to now go for a younger driver lineup. We see the exit of Alexander Rossi, and McLaren is bringing Nolan. Well, Nolan Siegel's already there, right? And
Nolan's there.
Christian Lundgaard and Pato Award are going to be.
See how long Pato stays.
You think I feel like Pato's kind of like their Charles Leclerc at the moment.
I think no. Well, the thing is, even though Indy is the clear apex of motoring sport, we've said if he wants to eventually make his way up to F1.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Arrow can hold on to him. If it doesn't look like there's a seat for anyone in the next coming years at McLaren in F1.
Yeah.
We'll see how long they can hold on to Pato, because honestly, if he continues with his improvements, I don't see why not he could get a seat. I don't see why he couldn't get a seat in F1.
Yeah. If you watch Connor Daly's podcast with Pato Award's interview, we see that Pato has connections with other teams,
Yeah.
and something that I didn't know about. So exciting to see, like you said, Pato keep that consistent going and hopefully bringing his name to the other racing series.
So moving on from Pato.
Yeah, moving on from McLaren.
The future. What does the future hold for Indy?
Talking about teams coming for future for Indy is Prema to Indy, which is kind of an exciting one.
Very exciting.
Prema being a big team over there in Europe, which is what we've pointed in the past, like Zach Brown, trying to make that connection from the States over to the European market as far as the racing
the
series,
step down that is F1.
The step down, exactly. But
I
I
don't
know,
know why
sir.
everyone wants to do that, but sure, let's do it.
Some people want it, so we got to give what the people want. So yeah, exciting to see Prema come in and
possibly with a little bit of a splash.
Yeah, and
F1 driver Logan Sargent.
Oh yeah, Logan
linked to Prema.
Linked to Prema. He raced with Prema, I believe, in F2. So he must have strong connections there. Phone numbers, he can make a call, right? Yeah, I think that's a good move for Indy, having a foreign team like Prema coming over there and having a go at of Indy and see if they're able to be competitive.
Yeah, talking about teams and connections to F1 and things, I think one thing that Indy needs to work on is maybe a little bit of a simplification in terms of the number of drivers and seats that each team has. It differs widely from team to team.
Even liveries,
The livery simplification, having a one-off livery. I mean, in F1 we have one-off helmets. Like the drivers, if they want to have like a special helmet for that race weekend, we'll have one-off helmets. But the completely different liveries for different races is kind of confusing. As we said in the past, to gain more viewers and things like that, I think Indy has to simplify a little bit there.
Yeah, I know sponsorships have to do a lot with deliveries, and I know money talks, right? But if IndyCar really wants to, I feel like if they really want to take that step forward, simplification and maybe taking a little pay cut for a season or two might pay dividends towards the end, where they're going to get a lot more viewership and a bigger fan base that will bring in more money towards the end,
Yeah.
So, and they might give them a little bit more leverage towards these sponsors, where they're able to say, okay, yeah, you can put your name and your brand on our car, but you're not changing the whole color of our car,
Yeah.
So it looks like it could be a financial thing, with as far as the liveries being simplified, and one thing as far as the teams, how many drivers there are per team, I don't see why IndyCar can't just put a simple rule. Hey, you're only allowed to have 3 drivers per team, right?
I mean, again, it's a money thing, right? Some teams literally can't afford to have that many teams. That many drivers.
Yeah.
As we've seen, sometimes they don't have the chassis for it, or they don't have, they can't. It's just too expensive, which is also a thing they got to work on. Maybe, those teams, new teams, a team that's trying to grow, there's a little bit of an adjustment in budget from Indy to help them grow, to help them bring more entertainment to the sport, which is already something very entertaining. It's just, I think the thing is getting into the sport. Getting into the sport is the hardest thing, right? We'll see in F1, we'll see a lot of people especially at Indy races, we see a lot of people with F1 gear, right?
We do.
So, and we learned this kind of the hard way, is that a lot of people don't know what Indy is.
No.
They don't know what it is, even though they're there at the race.
They know of it, right?
They know of Indy. Obviously, they're there enjoying the race, having a good time. But when we went to ask questions, basic questions we thought of Indy were basic, and no one seemed to know the answers to that.
2 engine manufacturers. Come on, 2 engine manufacturers.
Ozzy's favorite question.
How many engine manufacturers are there in Indy? 2.
Ozzy's favorite question was, how many engine manufacturers are there in Indy?
There's only 2.
How many are there, Ozzy?
2. Honda and Chevy.
And Ozzy was pretty upset that no one could come up with that answer.
I feel like Indy, when you watch it on TV, they mention it a lot of times where that there's only 2 engine manufacturers, so a lot of people would know. I was sadly wrong. So 2 engine manufacturers, okay? Currently, right now, who knows if they might get another one in there. Like I said, if we can get Chevy, Ford, Dodge in there,
that would be really cool to see the big 3.
The big 3, and like I said, they come together and they enter a team into Formula One and bring down that step down of a Series F1
Yeah.
and show that IndyCar
Show
and
them that American muscle.
American muscle.
American
is the way to
muscle.
go, is maybe a possibility. Okay, you heard it here first at Full Beans. That's the way to go, to show that IndyCar is the top tier racing series out here.
Speaking about some American muscle, the show that is F1. Oh no, cut that out.
Damn.
The show that is Indy, moving over to Fox. That's gonna be a big thing, big talking point for next year.
Fox being a big network, dude.
Fox being a big network, them going to show every F1 race on
IndyCar race.
My gosh, cut it again.
Is the F1
Cut it again.
Is the F1 parasite inside your head right
It
now?
is.
It's the Matrix.
Another cut.
Yeah.
The Indy race, you're going to show all Indy races on Fox, which is going to be a big improvement from what we have now. We watch it on Peacock, so it's not that much of an issue for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's been an issue for people that don't have Peacock.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's obviously Fox is a public or non-cable TV
you just
channel,
need those little bunny ears.
Little bunny ears, exactly.
And you can get Fox.
Where Peacock, you have to pay for the subscription, so it's a little bit extra. So this should help out people who don't have access to Peacock, or maybe in a different country, they might have easier access to Fox and be able to watch Indy. So it's a good move to see them go in that direction.
That's good to see. The bad thing about this is that it looks like to not conflict with the bigger American sporting events
Mm-hmm.
like NFL, they are condensing the schedule a little, it looks like. Which obviously is not the best for the teams, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice from a racer's point, from a fan's point of view.
And a racer's, I guess, because they don't...
Yeah, but they don't get a break. Like, they can't, you can't really go home.
Oh, that's true,
Like,
yeah.
you're like, you got to be locked in the entire season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everything, right? Any athlete that's, playing at all times, more likely to get hurt. Maybe this is more of a mental game, But from a fan's point, it does kind of help in terms of the simplification that they were kind of preaching. Is that, what day is it? Sunday. Oh, there's a race. Boom. Turn on Fox, and there's an Indy race,
Yep.
So it does kind of help in that point where you don't have to really be so involved in knowing the schedule. It's like, oh, it's Sunday. It's race day,
Yeah.
You get to watch it.
You don't have to wonder, right? Like, hey, is there a race this weekend? Is there not?
Yeah, which I think with racing is always going to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
It is very hard to move all of these cars everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
So, it's always an issue in racing that they're going to have the brakes, which, is fine. They need it. Although, with the condensing of the schedule, I don't like too much. I understand why it's happening and that it's kind of like a must happen. But one thing that's interesting that I think is for future is maybe if they can get enough traction to expand the schedule.
Yeah.
F1 is kind of, I think, overdoing it with like the 25 races they're gonna have, whatever, 20 some races.
They are stretching it.
They're stretching it a little thin, in my opinion. It's getting a little too long.
Even drivers are kind of complaining how it's so many races, right?
Yeah, drivers are complaining, too many races, too much travel, especially for them being global.
Yeah, global.
Not actually a thing we normally see. So yeah, travel obviously with the F1 is a global thing, so that's obviously an issue with them, which is actually normally not something we complain about. It's not something we say that the States has an advantage there, where it's not as much travel as F1. Normally, like with European football that we know a little bit about, the teams there, the leagues there, especially the national leagues, they travel, their countries are tiny.
Yeah.
So the team travel isn't a lot.
No.
That's a big thing with American sports. Is a lot of people are like, oh, well, why doesn't every team play every team? Why is there different conferences?
Obviously, those people have never been to the States.
They've never driven in the States and realized that you can drive in the same state for 10 plus hours and be in the same
Yeah,
state. Right?
in the
Like,
same
that's
state.
the thing. They don't understand that the length of California is like, 13, 14 hours long.
Yeah.
The width of Texas is another 13, 14 hours. You're in Europe, you drive that long, you've passed through 4 countries.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage I think Indy has, where maybe they kind of do a trip around the states, you know, and have more races. Once there's the fan for it, right?
Yeah.
The fans
Most of
for
the
it.
fan base.
We have a little bit of a empty seats at the moment, which is something we're trying to work on. I don't know. What are your thoughts for the future? Present, past.
I think IndyCar are taking good steps forward. There's obviously always areas to improve, but at this moment, I think as far as going with the hybrid system, going with the condensed schedule could be a plus, could be a positive, could be a negative, like David mentioned. I think it might be a positive right now. I guess we're gonna have to see. I think it's looking bright for Indy. New teams from other countries are looking at the sport. Drivers from other different racing series, even from the step down racing Formula One, looking at IndyCar as a future. You know, so I feel like IndyCar is really making.
Maybe we can have Alonso in Indy.
Maybe, you know,
permanently, not just for a
race.
one-off race or whatever.
So I think it's a bright future. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe.
On this bright, sunny California day.
Mountainy,
windy. Learning the track.
Learning, exactly. Hopefully we don't drive off the cliff right here.
Hopefully we get to upload this video. Hopefully you see this.
Yeah, so with that being said, and on that bombshell, Full Bean signing out.
All right, there's a cut here.
That's why I stopped talking.
Yeah, so there's a good cut right there. Just